Stopping time is typically one of the most powerful abilities in the series, so naturally, it is a very, very powerful skill in Pitter Patter Pop. This is Dimes, and without further ado, this is every time stopper in Pitter Patter Pop ranked. Now, before we start, I will only cover units that are typically labeled as time stoppers within the game files, with one exception which I will cover at the end. So this means I will be excluding units that are more so stand-up abilities like Diavolo, Voiced Diavolo, or even Voiced Gold Experience Requiem. Now, kicking off this list, we have the very first time stopper to ever be released, and also the only time stopper that is non-limited, and that is regular Part 3 Dio. And this is an interesting case because Dio was one of the first units to be released early in the game's life cycle, and this was an era where the developers did not know how to balance unit skills properly with their cooldowns. You can see regular Bruno for another example, because God Dio is bad. Like his ability is really, really bad. Now, whenever you stop time, whenever you match tiles, like they don't erase immediately. They just stay there until the time stop duration is over. Where it's kind of like a mini stand-up, but without any of the decent multipliers or any decent damage whatsoever. Really, all you're going to see from Dio's skill is a couple boxes which are completely random and measly damage and charge. Now, interestingly enough, Dio at one point was meta during score attacks that boosted his damage, where he actually worked pretty decently, but you had to use other time stoppers to make him work. And really, with his pathetic skills, insanely high cooldown, way higher than most of the other time stoppers you're going to see in this list, you're just better off just passing on him. Now, next on our list, we have a unit which, although is better than regular Dio, did not stand the test of time, which is disappointing to me. We have Voiced Ghiaccio. Now, Voiced Ghiaccio is a unit that's meant to be paired with Risotto version 1. Essentially, what a skill does is, depending on how many tiles you erase during his time stop, he will then replace a certain amount of Voiced Ghiaccio panels around the board. Then you'll use Risotto's skill to enhance all existing Ghiaccio panels on the board, and then replace even more Ghiaccio panels to charge skills and cooldown to stand up, and also build high stand-up damage. However, the problem with Ghiaccio is that his time stop is the shortest in the game, with a maximum potential time of 5 seconds. This time cap makes it very challenging to erase enough panels to get the max replacing from Ghiaccio. And also, with Risotto teams falling out of the meta, with intensifiers taking their place as the highest damage units in the game, this gives us even less reason to use Voiced Ghiaccio. So while not a bad unit, Voiced Ghiaccio's inconsistency and reliance on one unit earns him the spot on this list. Moving on, we will now be discussing our favorite steamroller distributor, Dio. Within this time stop, you have a maximum of 9 seconds to tap as many panels as possible to erase them. At the end of his time stop duration, the longest tile connection will be erased, which will typically be Dio panels since you cannot erase those. And then he'll enhance a couple of random panels, which don't really matter that much, but it's something. Now, Dio's a pretty decent unit, however, he is limited in his options because of the fact that he cannot charge his partner's skill during his time stop. Typically, the best units to use with high Dio are enhancers and other time stoppers, a good example being Voiced Josuke. And also, a unit you will see later on the list will do Dio's skill much better and without any of the limitations that Dio has. Next up on our list, we have another Part 3 unit, which will be Anubis Polnareff. Anubis Polnareff is a unit with incredible damage potential, where you erase panels by matching, and if you erase Anubis Polnareff panels, they will erase the panels around them for insane damage. This makes Anubis Polnareff's partners a bit more interesting, as they involve units that will increase the partner panel drop rates. This includes Voiced Old Joseph and Voiced Stroheim. Other than that, again, Anubis Polnareff cannot charge his partner skill, much like Dio, so the only other viable options for him will be other time stoppers, specifically the ones you will see later on in this list. So Anubis Polnareff is a very powerful time stopper, however you need to get a setup that works specifically for him. And now we have reached the second best time stopper of the game, and it turns out to be the second time stopper to ever be released in Pitter Patter Pop, Part 4 Jotaro. Now while Dio version 1's skill was completely unbalanced, with a terrible skill and terrible cooldown, Part 4 Jotaro has an amazing time stop and insanely low cooldown for his skill. Now to summarize why Part 4 Jotaro is amazing, he does incredible damage while matching tiles during his time stop duration, which also charges the stand-up duration and also your partner panel skill. One of the very few time stoppers that doesn't have any penalties for charging your partner skill, so this makes Part 4 Jotaro version 1 one of the most versatile units in the game. The best units to use with them are high panel count erasers like Bag Polnareff, or voiced cars, enhancers like voiced Josuke, and even other time stoppers like High Dio and Anubis Polnareff. Now, we get to the Uber Mega S tier time stopper of this list. Pause, but wait, they nerfed it? Oh. Reaching the best unit in this list? What better way to end it than another Jotaro, this time being its voiced variant. Voiced Jotaro sports the highest damage multiplier of all the time stoppers on this list, with arguably the easiest time stop similar to High Dio where you tap panels to erase them. And also like High Dio, Jotaro does not charge his partner skill during its time stop. However, this isn't too big of an issue for Jotaro, as every time you erase 8 panels in his time stop, an enhanced Jotaro panel appears, which not only promotes chargeability, it actually helps during stand-ups. Partner-wise, Jotaro is pretty versatile like his previous counterpart, and I forgot to mention in the previous entry, but the most powerful partners to use with them are intensified units, because the time stops multiply their damage even further, allowing for the highest damage output in the game during their time stops, doing millions of damage in time stop. One of the most powerful units being voiced Risotto. Now before I end this list, I might as well cover Gold Experience Requiem. Although he is technically a stand-up unit like Diavolo and his voiced variants, his skill actually does erase damage like the other time stoppers on this list, and he functions the most like a time stopper out of the stand-up units, so I might as well quickly cover him. His skill is similar to Dio, where you match panels to get a burst of damage at the end, but if you match a certain amount of Giorno panels to meet the threshold, you will then be able to redo the skill. This cap starts from 4 and increases by 2 every time you loop the skill. It's a pretty powerful ability, but it is completely at the mercy of RNG and how many Giorno panels are on the board. And this severely limits Giorno's output every skill use. And also, Giorno creates at most 8 enhanced block panels near the bottom of the board, so you need to have a partner that directly addresses those. Or you can tough it out with another time stopper and rely on boxes to get rid of the block panels, which you can imagine is fairly difficult and wastes a decent amount of time. So if I had to rank them amongst the other time stoppers, I'd probably stick them between voiced Ghiaccio and High Dio. So in the end, what have we learned? While these time stoppers have powerful skills, they have severe drawbacks to balance their abilities. This includes higher cooldowns than average, and also limited in how they interact with their partner skill typically. They are great in putting an insane amount of damage in a short amount of time, and the best time stoppers are the ones that are self-reliant and synergize best with others. So now we have reached the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, feel free to leave a comment and also subscribe to be up to date whenever I upload a new video. Special thanks to the Heaven's Door team on the Pitter Patter Pop Discord. Links are in the descriptions down below, where you can ask any questions about the game. My name is Dimes, and I'm out.